YouTube shave fans, super curve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore eating fans, the proper human diet. It is Bill here with my normal intro. Today is April 26th, Saturday. I'm going to do a shave and another one of my little talks, if you care to sit through and endure it. The topic is going to be, again, kind of angles and curves and pre-shaves. Okay, so pre-shaves is the side thing, partly because I was interested. People would pick up my little the rich man's pre-shave because I like Proraso pre-shave. Okay, and one of them was Matthew Lawrence. He's in my list in the description of people that I like to watch and that I enjoy and that kind of stuff. Do tune into his channel. Great gentleman that just does a lot of different stuff and has a lot of interesting takes on that. And he demos a lot of products and that kind of stuff. So he did something. I'd done it years ago, and I kind of stopped doing it. You know, I think I read somewhere that, okay, so you can buy the Proraso pre-shave and you get this little teeny tiny, jar like this for, I don't know, say $13 or something like that. Okay, and you don't use a whole lot. You can use a lot if you want, but you don't have to use a whole lot. Or you could get like this big tub of Noxzema cream. And I've done a comparison of those, and I thought Noxzema was a very, very suitable pre-shave if you like pre-shaves. But as far as suitable pre-shaves, I've actually used olive oil. And today, for a demonstration, I have olive oil pre-shave here, and I have the Proraso. And I think, let me see, I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see the whiskers on this side maybe standing up a little bit more than these are. Now, the oil stays in the oily type stuff, and that might be holding it down. And this is kind of penetrated in the time that I've had it on. But the term the rich man's pre-shave came from where people would take the excess lather from when they were making their lather, and they would smear that on and rub that in. Okay, and that's a good thing. That's a good pre-shave. Anytime you're adding moisture and some sort of a oil or carrier or something to your skin to help soften the whiskers, it is always a good thing. So another pre-shave technique, and I've seen many barbers do this. Okay, so a lot of barbers you would see, and you can watch them on YouTube, and and everybody's got their own thing and does their own little shtick. Okay, so and had a barber shave once. My wife was taking her test to be a barber. Okay, and I was the subject. Okay, but typically I see that what they do is they'll put pre-shaves on of some type of an oil or something, and they'll rub that into the skin at the same time they're checking to see which condition the skin and the beard, and also checking to see which direction the hair grows and how coarse it is wherever. So they're planning the shave out. Okay, so one of the things was, and I'll get to that in a minute. I want to get to the shapes and curves. I'm going to do, because what I'm doing here is I'm using a first lather up as a pre-shave. Okay, so probably by the time I'm done, there'll be no difference between olive oil and Proraso. And if I didn't use either, if I had more sections of my face to partial off, you could probably not tell the difference after you did this. Okay, so but I want to talk about angles and curves. Okay, and I don't think I had my little angle and curve demonstrators, but out yesterday. Okay, and this one's getting bent up. I'm probably gonna have to make a new one of these. Okay, but these are the same width and the same height, and I use them to figuratively represent what happens to the bevel of your razor when you are using a shaped hone. Okay, now for those of you that are Bludgeon and Beatdown fans, the forum Bludgeon and Beatdown, there's experts over there, and there's one expert. I think it's H brand Bone Shaft. So if you're a Bone Shaft fan or whatever, he says that don't use convex hones because Dovo uses them, and Dovo can't even make a shave ready razor. Well, I got a razor that is shave ready from Dovo, and it's the second one, and I consider it, the fucker bite I got was really, really good. I like my honing better, but this other one, it's like, right out of the box, a shave with it. Okay. So if you're a friend of the bone shafter, just know that he's full of it, and he will tell you a lie because he does hone razors and get money for it. So, and I don't believe he's ever tried this. So a lot of the experts on convex honing, or the experts on non-convex honing, non-hollow bevel honing, straight angle honing, a lot of the experts have never tried this, and that's why they are experts on this. Okay, I have tried this. So, and one of the things I'm going to say, okay, it seemed to kind of make sense to me, and it's theoretical, and believe me, if you hone well and you do this real well, you get a real good shaving edge. I've used them by plenty of guys, okay? But I'm going to use these as an illustration of the difference in using a shaped hone and using a flat hone. So if you are using your flat hone, okay, and you're honing to this angle, what you do is you create a condition where and this is why progressions come in and why finishing is so important, okay, is because you have to work this whole thing all at once. And if the razor has a little bit of bend in it, then you got to do and you have to do it on a curved hone too, where you have to kind of move it and selectively apply pressure, okay. But the one thing and I kind of remember this from knife sharpening and that kind of stuff. So you're honing along this way, and what you do, okay, is in the earliest steps you hone on this side, and a burr forms out on this side, and you would feel for the burr. So if you're honing, okay, if this is your center line, okay, your energy is always going to be pushing this way, okay? And that's something that does not really happen with a crowned hone, a convex hone, a wheel, so to speak. You hit this, but you don't push it over. Now, there's no reason, okay, that honing like this and using the correct pressure and everything, that you can't get a really, really, really incredibly good edge. Probably if you were measuring the point right out here, if you were measuring this point, okay, it's probably actually thinner at the point than when you use a convex hone and do this, and I'll show you why on that. And I have a couple of strops. I use curved strops and curves, all kind of curved stuff. Okay, but I'll use this as an illustration. Okay, so if I have two, and these are shaped on the Jared plate on the term I use, the 6 foot wheel, which is really kind of like a 6.5 off his elliptical plate, and there's a cross crowning on both of these. They're shaped on that plate. But if you look at this, and if you look at the curve in what you're doing, okay, once you hit the contact point, you bend away. You bend away, as opposed to with a flat hone, where you go across that center line. This never crosses that center line. Now, I will grant you that that with some leaning on it and pressure on a curved hone, you can move this around. But you're never going to do this. Now, I do decrease the amount of curvature, so I use a bigger wheel later on. I've not been successful at going to flat afterwards, even though where this technique is documented in an 1840 something German grinder's handbook. They say finish on flat. Okay. But anyhow, until if you're always using a curve, you're always, once you hit the apex, you're always bending away, maybe ever so slightly, and maybe on the 25-foot wheel, you're flexing this. Okay. But you're not putting the kind of pressure. Okay, so the kind of pressure that you would have here, you have enough pressure to get all of this together, and so there's always that issue that is eliminated when you use a curved hone. Okay, that said, okay, both of these will shave. I've shaved with both of these, very good ones from others, myself, and it can be done. And I dropped my brush down into the soap here. Okay, so for the pre-shave, okay, many of you seen that I had to be the copycat to Razor Ninja, I think he is now. Gary shaves, and I have to use a towel now every time. It's like you get into this and you get spoiled, and yeah, it's hot. Whoo. Okay, so I take this cup and I put boiling water in here, roll up a towel. It's a cheap towel. And but what this does after you use a pre-shave, or if you lather up and then do this, what this will do is this will help provide additional moisture to your face and make it softer, more moisturized, more flexible, less likely to snag on the razor. And I just go right over the soap and everything. And I'm sure that because soaps, oils, whatever may have a tendency to allow, maybe this will be worse. I feel both of them slippery. Okay. So is the slipperiness from the soap that I had sitting on there from the pre-shave? I'm not sure. They gotta feel the same, actually. So that is another pre-shave technique, okay? And just because of some of us get on there and in straight razor shaving or hobby shaving of any type for that matter, we do these funny things. It's kind of what we do, what we entertain ourselves with. I am using, the brush I am using is my Simpsons Super Badger, Simpsons Emperor 3. When I started out, I didn't want to buy a whole lot of brushes, and I still don't have a lot of brushes, but I always wanted a Simpsons brush. This was when Simpsons, I don't know what they're doing now, because I think Simpsons of old changed hands, I imagine, but Jared had an old video where he went over there and he showed how they hand tied the knots. They made the bundles of the badger hair and they hand tied the knots. And the price of these was really, really high. It's actually come down a little bit. It makes me wonder how, why, whatever. I don't know. But some of that craft could have been lost because there's like these knots that are coming out of China they're pretty good. Okay, and they're maybe made with a machine and have some sort of a plastic binding in the bottom rather than a hand tied. Anyhow, I wanted, and I actually got two of these. I got an Emperor 3, and I first got the Emperor 2 because I didn't want to spend $500 for a brush, so I spent $100 and some for that, and small. Even this is a small. So I had to buy the 3. So, make your decision well, and you only have to buy once. Unless, of course, you're the hobbyist and you'll buy, a brush for every day of the year. And I'm not picking on you guys that are brush fans. The razor for today is is the control razor that I used in my training period. This was the Sunday Shaver. Okay, this is a Dovo. The number on here is Dovo 91. Okay, this is only available, and they're still available from the Superior Shave. I don't know that there will ever be any more Dovo 91s, but the design of this was supposed to be with the same blank of the existing flagship razor, the Burgershire Low. Okay, and the Burgershire Low is more fancy, got all those more gold on it, and has horn scales. And there's a 6/8 Burgershire Low now that's still the flagship, but supposedly this blank form was exclusively Dovos. Okay, and this has, I don't think they grind the scalp. I don't know if that's forged. I don't really know, but this, true to in spite of what the bone shaft crowd says, this is a very good razor, okay, and it comes from Dovo. And and my argument with, because what Dovo teaches now, and you can go look at their website in Germany and what they're teaching how to hone your razors with a cuticule. Okay, and that's fine. And I think they even specify flat on there. And I think even Dovo now is putting, when they do their initial bevel setting on a wheel that spins around, a platen wheel that spins around this way, I think they even put tape on it. So the Dovo of today is a little different than the Dovo of this era. Okay, there's another sister to this that, and they only come in the wood scales. They're prime for if you want to rescale in some sort of a fancy scale, but they are super performers. Okay, the thinness of grind on this, and I've said before, you know, the Germans do know how to grind thin, and I mean pretty much all of the German companies that are making razors still. Okay, they can grind really, really thin. And I do like this. This has been, I don't remember exactly how I honed it, but I can guarantee this has been honed on a shape tone, and I'm sure it's run through my strop progression. And so and speaking of progressions, I talked about the progression on flat honing. I had started off originally trying to learn to hone. I bought what everybody said was probably a good starter set. I bought a set of Nanoa Superstones, and they were good. I just could not get the edge that was my control, which was this, and this was honed on a flat stone. Jared Connery honed this on the cuticle. He'd honed thousands of razors on it. I know he was aware of the use of convex tones, but he had not yet accomplished that on his own, at least as made it public, until he actually designed a plate. And actually, before he designed a plate, he made a plate using a method that amateur telescope makers use to grind domed glass or convex glass. And that was some brutal work. I remember seeing the videos of him doing that. Had to be just brutal, hours and hours and hours of stuff. And the most famous of the Jared haters went after him and saying that all he wanted to do was sell his stones. Because at first what he was doing, he was taking that plate that he made and he was shaping stones primarily Arkansas stones, and I bought one, okay? And while that shape was, I've reshaped it since then because that was a little less of an elliptical crown and a little bit more of a closer to a circular dome than an elliptical crown like I have today. But he bought a couple of 8x3s, okay? And after he went through the sweat equity of shaping those initial 8x3s, he said, I'm not doing this anymore. He's not for sale. Now, he did do his 3x12. Okay, so at that point, as far as pre-shave, I feel no difference between olive oil and the pre-shave. And maybe I should do one sometime where I just take and just use the Proraso pre-shave on half and do the soaping up before the hot towel. That's something I haven't tried, but I have noticed, and I don't know if you'll see it in the video or not, but the tendency of the hair to stand up a little bit more with the Proraso. And I noticed that a long time ago. That's why I continue to use it. So also, the soap for today, I forgot to say that, is a Sterling soap. Everybody knows. Anybody ever watched me knows what a Sterling fanboy I am. Okay. And one time I bought almost everything I could. I don't buy. I just got way too many soaps. This was one of the Black Friday specials, Triumph. I think this was Invictus, an homage to Invictus. It's a nice gentlemanly scent. That was the other thing that I kind of learned, that regardless of what a soap smells like, okay, you smell that while you're shaving, but there is very little carryover of that if you use an aftershave treatment that has a scent to it. So I have two of these. I have one that was rescaled in Cocobolo that my wife bought me one year for our anniversary. And I have this one. And they both shave equally. Now the second one I got, to me, was not as high of a performance edge as this one was. And for many months after that, it was a good shaver. Okay, it was just not up to the level that this one was. They both pretty much shave equally now since I've rehoned them both. The other one, I used it when I was trying to select how was I going to hone my razors. And I actually sent that. That was one that I sent to a guy that is known for his work with Shapton stones, to be very good with them. I sent up there and it's like, it came back. It's like, it was nothing special about it. It wasn't any better than it was when I sent it out. It wasn't bad when I sent it out. So probably didn't need a whole lot of work. But that would be the reason that I did not buy a set of Shapton stones. The Shapton Glass series, because I was looking at the time. And that's not to say that Shapton Glass are bad. Loads of people use them. And maybe had I gotten an edge that I really, really liked, maybe I would have never went to become the super curve hunter. And maybe I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's like, it was my name because people got so confused when you said convex edge. They got confused with a convex and a concave. So I just decided, well, I'll call it super curve. And especially since I've been working on different curved shapes in addition to the 6.5 foot wheel. So this was a razor shape that I really liked, a 5/8. It's a really, really good performing razor. You know, 5/8, a lot of people don't like 5/8, but you could say whatever you want about Dovo, but they do know how to grind them thin, okay? And I can't say that there's none of those that have a little bit of the bendiness from the forge, because I don't know, okay? But the two that I have are just excellent pieces to have. And just like the one Runda Saka, the red one I had, it was all bent up. You know, you can hone those things, okay? If you are a good honer with whatever tools you use, you should be able to hone that razor, okay? Even the bone shaft, the bone shafter says he has a way to hone. And that's actually another Jared hater out there who I called Steve 56, the corner honer. Okay, so somehow or another, this guy says he gets this by honing off the corner. And you know, anytime I talked about this, he would show that picture of the razor on the corner, that you don't need that. This is all you got to do. And I've never seen any videos from him. You know, it's like, okay, so. Okay, so I don't remember how I honed this up, but this is like incredibly smooth. Then again, maybe it's the pre-shave treatment. It's all of it together, guys. Do what you do, find what other people do. Beg, borrow, and steal from somebody else's technique, and you'll find your way. So sometime this summer, I don't know exactly when, but I have the components. I'm going to try and use the lapping films, the inexpensive aluminum oxide lapping films. And I'm going to have a couple of different curves, and I'm going to see how good I can get. And is it possible for me to use those submicron abrasives and get away from the use of all my strops? I don't know. It might be a different technique involved. But, you know, I'm going to try it, see what I can get, see how it compares, and see if I could recommend that. And if it works real well, I'll probably adopt it. That is where you tell they're really, really a good egg, when you go against the grain on the mustache. And it feels so nice. The originator, I'm not going to fail to mention him, is the Hudson Valley hunter, the originator of the technique of using lapping films on shaped objects. Gentleman who is well versed in, I believe, geology and mining and stones and abrasives, and has been a customer and a friend to Jared, and I consider him a friend. He does not like a public presence, but he has made some videos where he showed some of his techniques that were really, really good. Oh, I'm gonna do a little bit of a touch up, just a little touch up, just a little bit, in it, which is not unusual. And that's one of those areas where, if you're inclined to try that, the technique invented by, or trademarked as, flat blading, where you take the razor and you make a, almost a scraping type of thing. I've seen other people do the technique, but he was the one that called it that. The negatives that some people say is, well, it can roll the blade, roll your edge or whatever, and it's like, I'm not so sure. I'm sure if it creates some sort of a stress on that, I'm pretty sure stropping could bring it back. Oh, speaking of stropping, I was watching an Italian barber, I think it was, okay, and I've never been really. I got some hanging strops here, a couple of nice ones. And I've never really been that good at it, okay? But one thing I saw, okay, so most people, when they strop, okay, they are stropping more over the whole length, and I saw him doing something totally different, okay? Whereas what he was doing, okay, so if you're like this, no matter what you do, at some point in time, so here I'm pulling straight away to the center at the bottom, okay? And the only way to pull straight going up is to actually be on the edge. So you're on the spine till you get to the halfway point. Then you're on the edge going up. And if you wanted to avoid some of what I had shown as pressure going this way, and I've seen it done on loom strops, okay? It doesn't happen on a convex strop like this, okay? That doesn't happen because the strop is bending away after it hits the edge. But something to try. And I've not tried it because I don't too much use this stuff anymore. Okay, but what I observed that he was doing was he would strop and he would start his turn halfway. So, and even on a loom stop, so he's pulling, and this is straight, okay, and he's never pulling up on the edge. So regardless of how tight you hold this, there's always going to be some sort of a deviation from straight line here, and there'll be some here, okay, but more so going here, so you just can't keep this straight. But the same thing is in the inverse. If you're coming down, okay, you're coming down and there's little pressure going back up because it's mostly between here and wherever the spine is. But once you get to the center, that changes. So if you begin your stropping and your turn at center, and some of you that have learned a really, really fast and gentle stropping technique, I don't know, that'll help you. But if you're newer and working on your stropping, that might be something, a habit you may want to try and work on to develop. So I'm a little bit over. I hope I entertained some of you. And if you're a big fan of the bludgeon and beat down, and some of the guys that I mentioned, that every time something's wrong, it's because Dovo can't sell a shave-ready razor, or because you haven't set the bevel right. It's one of the reasons I make fun of these people. So a little bit of no big sting there on the left the water run. So I'm gonna use a little bit of the Orange Chill Menthol, made by the Witches of Hazel at Sterling Soap. Has a great citrus scent to it, and a little stronger than I can't think of that one. It's that typical aftershave and tonic. I'll think of it in a minute. But this has a little stronger, but that has like some witch hazel in it too, okay? And then I'm going to finish off with the matching aftershave to the soap, which at some point in time, I'm going to work this down where I don't have matching aftershaves. I just have the aftershaves and a couple of soaps. And that is really just a fresh scent. They may have changed the name of this. I don't know. I don't even know if they still have this anymore. But if you do see them, see this one make the rounds again in the Sterling lineup, it's a good one. I like it. Okay, so I'm not sure what powder I have in this particular powder cannon, but I'm gonna. And this is the big bore powder cannon. This might have some of the one that I call a shower curtain smell. It doesn't really smell like a shower curtain, but it's not the citrusy kind of smell that I thought it was going to be. So that's Bill, that's the shave. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everybody has a good week. And take care, stay safe, stay sharp, shave well. Bill out. Bye.